Hey guys, I am back and today I'm going to be doing a chatty get ready with me and kind of just talk about what's going on in my life as I apply some makeup. So let's hop straight into it. I'm going to start with this Ole Henriksen Banana Bright Face Primer. I'm just taking like a pump of this. My skin's just been really dry, so I'm starting with this. I put on a thick layer of moisturizer this morning and I'm trying to drink some water and we'll see what ends up happening. I genuinely am not going anywhere today. Like, I am not planning on leaving this place for the rest of the day. So I am like, you know what? Might as well just full send. Maybe try something that may or may not work out on my eyes. And then I'm going to go in with this Laura Mercier Pure Canvas Blurring Primer. And I'm just going to take the tiniest bit, like a corn kernel sized amount. And I'm just going to put that on, like, my cheeks, my forehead, and my chin. But I'm avoiding my nose because my nose is so dry. Well, I'm avoiding the, like, kind of creases of my nose. That has been like flaking. I am getting over a little bit of a cold, which is part of why it is so dry, but it has been an interesting week. I very unexpectedly got sick this week, which was kind of frustrating, but honestly, in hindsight, this was kind of a good, quote unquote, good week to get sick. You know, like, I feel like a lot of times you get sick in the weeks where you have like 3 midterms and like you're supposed to go out of town in 3 days, you know, like those kinds of things. But this time I had 1 midterm that was not mission critical. I wasn't like, oh my God, if I do bad in this midterm, then like 100% of my grade in this course is going to be in the final, and now I'm stressed. I was just kind of like, you know what, like, this is fine. I can just take it easy, study for this. I only had like 2 other assignments I had to do, and then other than that, I was just kind of relaxing, and it was really nice. But I realized, as in not like I realized, it has been pointed out to me by my loved ones that I am bad at resting. I am bad at laying in bed and watching TV or reading a book and like not doing anything. And I think a perfect example of that is I filmed 2 videos this week, this video and a declutter video that will be going up in March. And when I'm home alone, like, I get kind of bored, and then I'm like, ooh, like, I wonder, like, maybe I can just film like a quick video. Maybe I can just film a quick get ready with me. And then I'm like, before I know it, I'm organizing, I'm cleaning the apartment, I am like going bananas. I'm trying to do like an easy workout, and then my roommate comes home and she's like, why can't you just take a nap like a normal person? And so this has been interesting. This is what happened the last time I got sick. I decided I wanted to make myself some soup. So instead of buying like a can of Campbell's, I bought a bunch of vegetables and I made minestrone from scratch. And when I told everyone, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna make some soup and then take a nap, they thought that I meant like I would heat up some soup. And then when they came, some friends came over to check in on me and they saw me like in the kitchen cooking and they were like, what? Why? And I don't know, I think it's interesting that I have such a hard time soaking up relaxation. I think for me, I'm not a person who always needs to be doing something at all times. That gets really old really quickly. But I also get bored being stationary for a long time. So like the first day of being kind of sick and like resting and just kind of like vibing around your house and all of that feels really nice. And then the second day I am like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm bored. I want to go home, but I'm like already home. I want to leave the house. And especially, I feel like my professors, at least, like post-pandemic, people are much better about like, if you're sick, stay home. Don't get other people sick. Like, not whatever it is can wait after, you know, after going through a lot of like virtual learning and then a period of time where, you know, it wasn't virtual learning, but COVID was still very much a thing. And I mean, it still is, don't get me wrong, but we had to like screen and test super regularly. And there was constantly people who were, not constantly, but there was very often people who would like test positive, and then they had to virtual, like remote learn for a while. And then, you know, like other people in class, and there was like always someone missing from class, and it was just very chaotic, I guess, is the point I'm trying to make. And after going through all of that, I think most teachers that I have, especially in like the health sciences, are like, if you're sick, just stay home. Like, it's easier to miss a day of class and I will Zoom you in, or I will record the lecture, or I'll send you my slides, or whatever it is, than to have you like coming to class, getting other people sick, and then everyone's sick, and then I get sick, and then my kids get sick, and all of that. So that's nice. But then when all of your teachers are like, no, stay home, just Zoom into class, then you're just sitting at home like Zooming for 6 hours, and you're like, I am isolated. So I'm feeling better. I can go back, or not I can go, but I am going back to in-person class tomorrow, because I should be over the last little bit of it, and I'm feeling good enough to do a full face of makeup, so that is good. But as I said, this time I'm trying to be a little bit better, and take a little bit more time to just chill. I have read 2 books since I've gotten this cold, or like I have like 50 pages left of my second book, so I'm going to finish it today and then film my book roulette update, because I'm very excited about that update. I'm just kind of excited to be doing that challenge this year. I've been kind of like catching up on Friends, not catching up, but like I've been rewatching it. And I recently watched a documentary called The Bleeding Edge, which I thought was really interesting from a consumer standpoint. It was largely about the way that medical devices are developed and tested in humans and then cleared for sale in the US market. And they picked some very specific examples that obviously I feel like most documentaries have kind of a angle, a thing that they're trying to portray. And it's interesting seeing, you know, there's kinds of 2 sides. On the one hand, as engineers, you can get really excited about a new technology, but there's a chance that maybe, you know, it's not ready for, or it's not that the technology isn't ready, it's that hospitals are maybe not ready to integrate it, and it can cause some issues while surgeons or doctors who maybe aren't super familiar with the device are familiarizing themselves, was kind of my takeaway from it. And then I think the other main takeaway from it is that, you know, it's always important that you should look up a product that might be implanted or used on you yourself. And I genuinely think that that's not a bad takeaway. And that was kind of the advice at the end of the documentary. There's a screen and they're like, here's our advice for consumers. I took the shade Work It all over my lid and into my crease, and now I'm taking the shade Angles, and I'm like kind of trying to get like my crease and then get like my upper crease. So it's a really good documentary. It's called The Bleeding Edge. It's on Netflix. I would highly recommend to anyone, whether or not you're interested, or not whether or not you're interested, but whether or not you work in medical technology. And yeah, that was a really interesting but also a really sad documentary. So that's what I did on Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I hope you had a great day. I surprised my girlfriends with flowers, so that was really fun. And it's funny, on my flashbacks of those days, like every year I've done something very different, but very fun. And like one year we painted like this big wooden plank that we now hang up in our home, and had like a heart-shaped dinner with our girls. Another year we like pranked our group of guy friends, I think. Like we did something silly and then we brought over cookies and we're like, hey, like, you know, we were just goofing around. And I mean, I've had years where I do nothing. This year I was trying to not get other people sick, so I didn't really do anything aside from dropping off some flowers and watching a sad documentary. And yeah, it's an interesting holiday. I feel like people either love it or hate it, but it's always fun to make other people feel appreciated. I remember one year I put together a little like Valentines for all of my friends, and my best friend at the time, we were not close for very long, but she did not like chocolate, and she was very bummed that I didn't like make hers particularly special, but I tended to bake things without chocolate chips in it for her. Like I would make chocolate chip cookies without chocolate chips for all the time, so it slipped my mind and it caused quite a scene, but you know, things like that happened. And then yeah, it was a good day. February is going by really fast. My classes are going well. It's nice to be able to take a breather. I feel like this is the first school year I've had where I'm not juggling like 1,400 million things. I mean, I'm still juggling, but I'm only juggling like 2 million things, not 1,400 million. Okay, so I applied some mascara and now I'm really happy with how this turned out. This outer corner is just doing things. I feel like this eye is the angsty teen eye. It just does what it wants to do, regardless of what I want it to do, but we're gonna move past it. As I mentioned when I was talking about like resting and things like that, I did film a declutter the other day, and I am gonna be moving in June, and I want to declutter some of my possessions, and the ones that are kind of beauty-ish related, I thought I would film and put up. So I have a makeup brush declutter that should be coming soon. I decluttered my makeup collection last like November, I believe, and that already went up. And then I'm in the process of decluttering my clothes, which is taking longer because it's a little bit more complicated to be like, yes, I like this, or no, I don't, because, you know, there are pieces that maybe aren't like, oh my God, I love this shirt, but it's like a black t-shirt, and you're like, well, I wear it all the time, even if maybe it's not like my most favorite possession. So it's interesting. I'm still like working through all of that stuff. And if you have any requests, please let me know. But I did my brushes, clothes, jewelry. I decluttered my nail polish like 2 years ago, and I honestly have been working with the same like 12 nail polishes since then in the little like gold box, and doing my project polish has kind of like narrowed down the polishes that I use, so I didn't think that that one was necessary. I thought about doing like a cutthroat palette declutter, because eyeshadow palettes are something that are fairly easy to sanitize and give away. And also because I have kind of fallen, I don't want to say fallen back in love with makeup, because I never really fell out of love with it, but I've fallen back in love with the possibility of obtaining new makeup. I have not felt an itch to buy anything other than replacing a foundation or concealer in a very long time, and recently there have been a couple of things that have popped up on my Instagram or been highlighted in a video that I've watched here on YouTube that has just grabbed my attention in a very kind of forgotten way almost. And now I'm kind of lusting after a couple of products. I have a wish list system. So if you watched my planner setup, in the back I have this wish list setup where I just kind of list like the thing I wanted. I think about why I want it, because I feel like that's, you know, sometimes you just want a thing that's right in front of you because you like want to buy something, but you don't actually like really want the thing. And then I think about like something that I might want to do before I purchase that item. So an example is the Exa green color corrector, because that is something that is featured very heavily on Hannah Louise Poston's channel. I really love her videos. The way that she talks about makeup is so indulgent, and she uses such like beautiful language when she describes makeup that it's captivating. And then she also just has a lot of really good experience with that product. And I have been noticing that throughout the day, like my cheeks will get very red, and just taking like a little bit of color corrector on like this part of my face could help me combat it. And then I would feel possibly less of a need to use concealer, because I've been feeling that my concealer looks a little bit too heavy. I stare at my face way more than like 99.9% of people I interact with stare at my face. And I notice these things because I'm the one doing my makeup, but I still was like, you know, this is something that I would be interested in trying, but I want to use up one or two of my concealers because I fell off of the only have one and only buy a replacement when you need a replacement kind of train on accident. My bad. And so I want to actually like work through one or two concealers before I purchase another concealer-esque item. And then there have been some eyeshadow palettes, and not so much eyeshadow palettes, but like eyeshadow formulas that I am like, ooh, that is stunning. Like some Cleona and Odin's Eye and Viseart shadows that are like beautiful and duochromy and just really like mesmerizing. And I'm like, I want to put that all over my face. And so part of me is curious if I should do an eyeshadow declutter and get rid of the things that I don't really use to make room for possibly buying one or two more palettes. Or I haven't put any of them on my official wish list yet. I'm curious if I want to make using this completely up my caveat for buying new eyeshadows, because I feel like doing a declutter is easier than like using up an entire palette, despite how small this little palette is. This is my pan, that palette for this year, in case you didn't know. And so I'm not sure but like the actual feeling of like looking at a makeup item and wanting it, I haven't felt for a really long time. I mean, I have been kind of like, like, you know, I have I have something like that at home. I have something that probably does the same thing already. Oh, I'll just go through my lipsticks. Like, I definitely don't need more lipstick. And I'm not saying that those things aren't true, but, you know, Instagram and YouTube has had me sitting there a couple of times going, ooh, I want to touch that and I want to play with it. And I think it's interesting that all of these examples are from brands that I don't really see in store. Like Exa, I have seen in store, I think. But like Cleona's, I believe, completely online. The shadows in particular from Viseart, I've never seen inside a Sephora. And so I'm curious, like, if I would feel different if I could go into a store and swatch it in person. So that's another thing that I'm kind of considering for myself. I think the wish list system works well. It's an idea that I got from the financial diet video where you have like an impulse journal, and then whenever you want to buy something, you add it to your list, and then every day that you don't buy one of those things, you get impulse points, and then you can spend those points on buying something. And it's just a way of like sitting and like thinking about things on your wish list for a while. And I've decided to do the like goal setting thing of like, oh, I can buy this new concealer or color corrector that I want when I've used up my other concealers, or when I have organized everything and I know exactly what I have, because I kind of try and come up with something that may make me realize that I don't actually need the thing. So I don't know, this is just kind of what I've been doing. I just did it towards the end of last year because I was noticing myself being like, oh, well, like, you know, I'm working right now. I could probably like splurge on a couple of things. And then it helped me take a step back and be like, I don't need to do that. And I don't know if I really want these things or if I just want to buy something right now. So I ended up withholding on most of those purchases, and I felt really good about it. So this is the system that I'm using. But other than that, I hope you're having an incredible, awesome day wherever you are. Thank you for hanging out with me and for chatting while I finish up this look. I know the light is like kind of crazy because they're all reflecting off of these like shiny things that I have in front of me. But other than that, I hope you're having an incredible, awesome day wherever you are, and that I get to see you in a future video. Thanks, guys.